Okay, so let's start with some introductions. Introduce yourself to the people, will you?
Yes, certainly, KeyAnna. So my name is Elizabeth Faber. I'm Deloitte's Global Chief People and Purpose Officer. And what that means is I lead Deloitte's talent, inclusion, environment, and social strategies for us as a global organization.
And I love the headline of people and purpose. I think it's such a special emphasis on what matters in the business, right?
Yeah, thank you. I do too. When I was in Asia Pacific, I had the same role. So I worked on creating this role when I was the Asia Pacific people and purpose leader. And then globally, I've kept the same portfolio.
I love that. I love that so much. And as somebody else with a slightly unusual title in this space, Chief Human Experience Officer, just want to acknowledge another good title.
Yeah, thank you. Right back at you.
Thank you. So let's jump into some questions here. And I'd like to ask you about, what do you think are some of the biggest misconceptions around what HR is here to do? And how do you think you and your organization can help to actively shift that, or where are you already doing that?
Well, you picked up on the biggest misconception that I have seen, and I'm trying to course correct, and that is how important it is for HR leaders to understand their businesses. And that's never been more important than now. And perhaps historically it was, you could kind of get by as an HR leader or really any functional leader without fully understanding the business that you're supporting, as long as you had deep functional expertise. But certainly those days are over for HR and talent professionals, and for them to be fully effective in supporting the long-term strategy of their organizations, they have to understand the business. And so from my perspective, I came from our consulting practice. So I have the benefit of knowing what it's like to be a day in the life of a consultant. But I have to stay current. I have to make sure that I keep up to date with how that has evolved. And similarly for HR professionals who have grown up within the function, they really need to more intentionally develop that muscle. And so what I do as a leader within my team is expose them to the business, make sure that they understand the strategies of our businesses, our long-term strategy as an organization, and really reinforce that on an ongoing basis. And that helps them to maintain a kind of a cutting edge perspective and also better serve our clients internally.
Yeah. And thinking of the clients internally as your customer is what ties them to the business, right? Your business
Absolutely.
has customers. The HR function, as it's commonly known, has customers. And I think this idea as the people function being more strategic is something that has been coming along for, maybe the last 5 years, but certainly feels like it's well positioned right now. And that if organizations haven't gotten there already, they certainly need to get there quickly.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I'll just support this with a fact that I've been has come in handy this week is around investment in technology and people. So one of Deloitte's recent surveys revealed that of all the spend on AI recently, 93% of that spend is going to technology and only 7% to people. And that will shift. That will definitely need to shift over time for us to fully maximize the value of that technology spend, because of course, people and change management and communications is essential to optimize it. But that's just, an indication of how important it will be for HR leaders to be at the table of these senior leadership decisions.
Well, and coming from Workhuman, I have to tell you, it's music to my ears that we're switching the conversation to focus on the people and how they will use the technology, as opposed to how the technology will shift the people.
Exactly. Yes.
All right. So let's talk about a challenge that I think has come up, especially in the last 5 or so years, which is this idea of doing the right thing when it seems like it's not always the easiest thing to do. Where have you faced that and how have you dealt with it?
Well, it's a great question. And the more I practice leadership, and leadership really is a practice, the more I am so grateful for working in a purpose-led organization, and making the tough decisions that are necessary as a leader is much easier when you have a purpose and a common set of shared values as an organization. And Deloitte does. I mean, that's part of my title, of course, is our purpose, which is to make an impact that matters for our people, for our clients, for our communities. And that's really underpinned by 5 global shared values. I won't recite them for you, but they really guide our decision making as a global executive and global board, and also guide our decision making as leaders in a day-to-day basis. So that being a purpose-led organization helps a great deal in making tough decisions. And then the other pro tip I would offer is do not DIY. Do not do this alone, and consult. So for challenging decisions, and there are many, I will find several perspectives to test my thinking with before I make the final decision, in a very confidential and discreet way. But I just think it's important and really helps to inform. Perhaps the decision may stay the same, but how I execute it, how I go about it, which is so important, really is shaped by advice that I seek. So, two tips I would offer is be led by a purpose as an organization, and create a culture that expects consultation, particularly amongst leaders.
Yeah, and I love that. I mean, at Workhuman, we use our own recognition tool, right? And it's tied to our values and the behaviors that we want to see to try to reinforce every day. This is how we do things. This is how we make decisions, but also to encourage leaders, right? If we say transparency and we say this is how we treat our people, we have to be able to communicate these messages in a humane way and have the conversations that matter in a way that our people can understand, rally behind, or sometimes maybe not agree with, but understand certainly where we're coming from.
Definitely. And they're watching, right? I mean, the person who is impacted by the decision certainly is, benefits from a very thoughtful approach to making that decision, but everyone else is watching. And so it's just really important, back to that point of transparency, that, you understand as a leader, that people are seeing how you're approaching that important decision.
Right. So I want to understand from you, what's one human-centered decision that your company has made recently? And can you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, sure. I love this question, KeyAnna, because I get to talk to you about Deloitte universities. So this is really the crown jewel of our learning strategy. And we have 7 campuses around the world, 7 Deloitte University facilities around the world that are really the manifestation of the physical proof of our investment in learning for our people. Our flagship and original university is outside of Dallas, Texas, and not only did we open that very early, but we also are expanding it now, more than doubling its size. We opened a campus outside of Beijing last year and outside of Paris the year before, and have an 8th university planned in Asia. So this is just a great message to our people on how important face-to-face, in real life learning is. And while we definitely leverage technology in delivering learning in the flow of work and learning channels that are available to our people all the time on a 24/7 basis, coming to a physical place that is really our town square, really a cultural hub of Deloitte, is extraordinary. And we have just so many statistics that show how it improves retention and engagement and quality. And so we are very proud of this investment we made very early on and continue to make over the course of now about 12, 13, 14 years.
And I would love to hear from you. I know you and I had the lucky opportunity to meet a little bit earlier today. As we think about the new generation entering the workforce, how do you think about Deloitte universities and the role that they can play in just thinking differently about entry-level careers?
They're so important, KeyAnna. So in our U.S. Facility, we make sure that our new hires come through the Deloitte University campus within a certain number of months of joining Deloitte, because it really does help to set that groundwork, that set those shared values that I talked to you about, and they can see it demonstrated. And, all of our learning at Deloitte University is leader-led. So it's partners and directors and managing directors delivering learning with our people. And that also helps to reinforce our culture and our shared values. Actually, so much of the benefit of a physical asset like a Deloitte University is the culture, not the learning is sort of secondary. Just the ability to connect and create a community and strengthen our culture is just priceless.